Cool, we good? Okay, without further ado, Joe.
Okay, welcome to my presentation. So, my geomorphic province is the Basin and Range, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. Wait, how do I go to the next slide?
Click on that.
Oh, I got it.
Yep.
So, I guess you guys already kind of know what a geomorphic province is by now, but it's basically a distinct province within an area or a greater area with different types of rocks and land features that you can differentiate easily from its neighboring regions. And here's a map of the geomorphic provinces of California. I don't have to go through all of them, but on the eastern side, so on the right, you can see the Basin and Range, which kind of makes up the side of the state, and it's bordered by the Sierra Nevadas to the west and the Mojave Desert to the south. And within California, it only takes up a little bit on the eastern side, but as a region in general, it spans all the way from southern Oregon and those states there, all the way down to Mexico, and it kind of shapes that whole region. So in appearance, you can see on the right, there's a satellite image, I believe, of the Basin and Range in Nevada, where it's particularly distinct. It's alternating patterns of mountain ranges and sunken basins. You can see the darker kind of lines in that image are the ranges, and the parts in between are the lower basins. In California, or actually the lowest point in the whole region is Badwater Basin in Death Valley at 282 feet below sea level. And the highest point is also in California, White Mountain Peak at 14,252 feet. So human history, it's pretty insignificant geologically, but it's more I guess important in Arizona and Nevada, not so much in California, but most of the history revolves around mining. There's an abundance, or there used to be an abundance of copper and gold and silver, in particularly in the Arizona and Nevada parts of the region, and on a large scale, mostly open pit mining has provided the U.S. with most of its copper since the 19th century. Not so much anymore, though. So the formation of the region, the province, it mostly revolves around tectonic action. So I guess for a little bit of context, the oceanic plates, mostly the Farallon plate, has been subducting under the North American continental plate, and no earlier than 30 million years ago, when the Farallon plate was subducting at a shallow angle, it pushed the western part of the North American plate up and formed this large mountain range. You can't really see it in this diagram, but yeah, it was a mountain range like similar to the Andes. And then about like 17 million years ago, that subduction stopped. So all that pressure that formed those mountains and was then holding them up disappeared. So basically there was nothing holding the mountains up anymore, and they just collapsed under their own weight. And of course that was like over a period of millions of years, but all that material like extended westward and settled and broke into blocks of like crust called horsts, which like rose in the molten mantle below, and grabens, which sunk, and those formed the basin and ranges. Yeah. So that leads into the geological composition of the province, basically like what kinds of rocks it's made of. So it has all three types of rocks in it: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Generally, sedimentary rocks or newer sedimentary rocks are in the basins from the quaternary period, so like at least 100,000 years ago. And then in the ranges, like the rocks are older and can go all the way back to the Precambrian era, which was like around 1.7 billion years ago. So in the basins, the rock is like flat and layered because it's just like made of sediments from mountains being deposited by like water erosion. And there's not really any like organization in the ranges, because it's just kind of all jumbled, and the contacts where the rocks like meet are like neat and not super like mixed up, and the faults that break up those blocks that I just talked about are generally in a northwest to southeast direction on a map. Oh, by the way, the picture on the right is a segment of a geological map of Death Valley, which is part of the Basin and Range. The different colors represent different kinds of rocks. So you can see like the yellow rocks in the flatter parts are all sedimentary, and the like the purple and blue and like orange and gray and all that are older marine rocks, and the pink is granite. Okay, so for my field trip, I decided to go to Tucky Mountain in Death Valley. On the right there, you can see a picture of it at sunrise. Very beautiful. It's just like one of the many mountains that makes up the region. So it's also, it would have been like a 5-hour drive to get there from Mono Lake, and then a 16-mile hike to the top. So we probably wouldn't have ended up doing it, but that's besides the point. So at the start of the hike, we would have gone through what's called alluvial fans, which are what you see at the base of the mountain in that picture. It's basically like, it's similar to like a river delta, but it's just what forms from all the like water runoff from a big mountain, and like when it just like forms or flows into one point and then spreads out. And you can see the alluvial fans are like raised up from the basin below. And that's just because it's all the sediments deposited from that mountain over time. And then next, so as we go up the mountain, it's basically like walking back in time. You can see in the picture, like there's really clear layers of rock stacked on top of each other. And it's interesting because they're layered in like reverse order in age. So like on the bottom, it's like rocks from the like Devonian period, which was like around like 400 million years ago. And then as you go up, it gets older to like 450 million years. And then at the top, there's like rock from the Precambrian era, which spans from basically like the beginning of Earth, 4.6 billion years ago, up to like around 550 million years ago. Most of the rock there is only about like 1.7 billion years old, but it's still very old. And so why that kind of matters, like it represents, or Tucky Mountain represents like the greater geological history of California, more or less, and just how it's changed, or it's gone through a lot of change over a super long period of time, and like layers of different rocks stacked on top of each other and stuff, and how like the whole area was shaped through tectonic activity, and how it kind of reveals itself through weathering and movement and all that. So yeah, thanks. Any questions?
Joe, thanks, Joe.